Right, I'm doing an experiment. Everybody in the comments to drop the song either was the first electronic music song you heard or the first song that made you fall in love with electronic music. I'm going to create a Spotify playlist and then share it with everybody. Getting more views and getting more new followers, that's dope. But then how can this be a little bit more interactive? So you guys are going to give me the songs, but I'm going to curate the order and the flow.
Welcome to the playlist. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm recording this on a Friday, so it's Happy Friday to me, but whatever day it is, I hope you're having a great day. It's your boy, London Bridge, and welcome back to another episode of the playlist. This is episode number 4. Very excited about today's artist that we're going to be covering, covering the Prodigy. And for this one, I kind of went back. I grew up listening to them. I never really had their albums. I was more of like a peripheral, like MTV guy, because they played their videos all the time. They were fucking huge, especially on their third album that came out. And so I was definitely like knowing what they were doing, but I did a deeper dive than I had done before. For the last couple of weeks, I've just been kind of like listening to their stuff here and there, and then watching some videos and kind of just getting to know them a little bit better. For those that don't know the Prodigy, I mean, they were a mega group in the 90s. And they were bringing in this big beat sound. There were other artists like Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers. There was kind of, this kind of wave that happened kind of towards the mid '90s. But they really ushered it in. They started in 1990, and just like doing the dive into, the Prodigy a little deeper and kind of learning more than I had known before was like really exciting, and kind of I could see why they'd be such a beloved band, because the stuff sounds fresh, just as fresh today. I mean, obviously the early stuff sounds kind of early, but it's so fucking cool, man. Still bumps. Everything bumps. Anyway, welcome to the playlist. If you don't know, that first clip that I played was kind of the origin of this podcast. I posted on Instagram Reel asking people to comment in the comment section what their favorite electronic music song was, or the song that made them fall in love with electronic music. Sorry, not favorite. It was the first. What was your first electronic music song that you had heard, or what was the one that made you fall in love with electronic music? As of now, the post has, I think, 8,516 comments. Each comment is a track, and then I took each one of those, and I'm creating this mega playlist. Right now I have 802 songs, but I still have, honestly, thousands of songs to add, and it's all the comments from this Instagram post, and I'm turning it into a Spotify playlist. And on this podcast, I'm reviewing one artist per show, from the playlist, mostly starting with ones that are asked for a lot or popular, because there are a lot of overlaps. I mean, there's 8,500 comments, but there's definitely people who have similar tastes, and the Prodigy was one of the most popular groups requested in the comments. So pretty cool stuff. And then for me, it's actually, I realized today when I was doing some research and listening, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of a cool journey for me to connect with artists in terms of musically that I'd never heard of, or some that I've heard of but didn't know their body of work. You know what I mean? I'm actually really excited to do this as kind of a project. And it's kind of never ending, because it's crazy the amount of different songs. It's like crazy. You would think you're there are only so many songs. No, there's thousands and thousands of songs that made people and as an entryway into the genre. You know what I mean? That's pretty crazy. So the Prodigy. Get into it. I mean, and by the way, if you haven't heard the podcast before, I mean, I usually just do one take. I don't really edit this, and I don't really know everything about every artist that we cover, but I do some research and try to give my spin on kind of the way I connected with them, because definitely the Prodigy was very much there when I was growing up. I went to Europe a couple times when I was 13, 14 with my parents, and I remember Euro MTV. That was the first time I was kind of introduced to the Prodigy. And I remember one time we were in England or something, and I'm just dicking around. My dad was there for work, but I'm just kind of dicking around. But I remember seeing sitting in my bed being what the fuck is this? And I think it was Firestarter. I think that was the record that brought me in. That was on their third album. They had other hits before, but I think that was the one that caught my eye because it became a huge MTV hit. And by the way, with this podcast, you're also going to get a lot of nostalgia. I grew up in the 90s, so I'm going to reference it a lot because a lot of these artists are from that time. But, MTV, it's for people who didn't grow up with it or kind of know it, wouldn't understand what kind of a mega influence MTV was. And if you were poppin', MTV was playing you all the time, and like to a fault. You know what I'm saying? Like every time there'd be like an hour block, it would be the same 6 videos of whatever. So the Prodigy was definitely that when Firestarter came out, and Breathe as well from that record. From the, what is it? The Fat of the Land? Yeah, The Fat of the Land is their third record. Here, but let's go to the Wikipedia page. I like to go to the Wikipedia page and do a little reading together, and then a little bit of discussion. So let's go back. So the Prodigy are an English electronic dance music band formed in Essex in 1990 by producer, keyboardist, songwriter Liam Howlett. The original lineup also featured dancer vocalist Keith Flint, dancer live keyboardist Leroy Thornhill, dancer Sharkey, and MC and vocalist Maxim. So Flint and Maxim were like the two like lead guys. Like those are the guys you'd recognize from the group. They often sang the tracks together or shouted or whatever was going on. Back to the wiki. They are pioneers of the breakbeat influence genre, big beat, and describe their style as electronic punk, which is fucking perfect because it is absolutely that. I mean, there is the punk rock aesthetic that kind of comes, like, honestly, from the Sex Pistols to this. There is a line there. You know what I mean? Like the tracks aren't like that, but like at least like Keith Flint's like style is very much that whole Sex Pistols, Clash, that kind of style. The band, back to the wiki, the band emerged during the underground rave scene and achieved early success in 1991 with their debut single Charlie and Everybody in the Place. Dude, those are 2 records that I've been playing over and over and over again the last couple weeks. So good. Like maybe some of my favorite shit. They're much more raw and like has less band. It's much more electronic and less bandy. Bandy? Is that even a word? But super dope. I highly recommend. They're on the playlist, so you can hear those tracks. By the way, a good thing to do on the playlist here. I'm gonna go, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see what I'm doing. But if you want to get like you'll listen to this episode. It's about the Prodigy, and then you can go to the playlist and then just search in the playlist the Prodigy, and it'll bring up all of their tracks that are on there. Because I think right now they have over 10 tracks. I'm gonna look right now. Yeah, the Prodigy. They have 18 tracks. I think there's a couple doubles here, but like it's like at least 15 tracks. Which is crazy, right? Like the whole assignment was, what was the song that made you fall in love with electronic music, and like there were 18 different Prodigy tracks that were somebody's first entryway. Or that's crazy. That's a body of work right there. That's crazy. Because a lot of times you would think for an artist, oh yeah, it's like 2 or 3 songs that everybody knows. Like even Daft Punk, it's like pretty much like 4 songs. Prodigy. That goes to show you. The Prodigy influence there. All right, back to the wiki just for a little bit more. Blah 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 blah. The band moved from their rave roots and incorporated techno, breakbeat, and rock influences on their follow-up, critically acclaimed Music for the Jilted Generation. They reached their commercial critical peak with their third studio album, The Fat of the Land, in 1997, which went number 1 in 16 countries, including UK, US, and spawned the UK number 1 single Firestarter and Breathe in 1996. The third single, Smack My Bitch Up, was a UK top 10 and generated considerable controversy over suggestive lyrics and music video. Thornhill left the band in 2000. Flint died in 2019, R.I.P. Howlett and Maxim are the only 2 original members. Yeah, I went on their YouTube, and they're definitely still playing festivals, and it's pretty sick. The takeaway I had from like watching the live clips was like, there's like bands, and then there's like bands that get on stage and are a fucking force. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not normal. Like, oh, just see a band play. Like it's just a wall of energy and sound, and the lighting that they do. Because it's all like festival settings that they're playing, and it's just like, whew, it's like the highest level of that type of shit. You know what I mean? You know how like Taylor Swift, it's like a high level of production, or Drake or whoever, any of those high level artists, they bring like a high level production. Like this band on its own is like so much energy, and then you add the lighting, add all that shit to it. It's fucking unbelievable. Highly recommend checking out their YouTube page, like for sure. So that's the backstory. I always like to just do a little bit of wiki stuff, just as a backstory. And then if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I pulled up the Google Images. That's going to be my format. I'm going to like read the Wikipedia page, or at least the first couple paragraphs. Then I'm going to go to the Google image. So you can kind of see different pictures of what they look like. But I think the most iconic image of the band is from the Firestarter video. Here, I'm going to pull it up. I can't play the music on these channels. I don't want to get sued. But here, Prodigy. You know, it's so funny when you look at my YouTube. It's like the Prodigy, and then it's like kids stuff because I play my son from my account. So I'm not going to play the track, but if you're looking on YouTube, you can see like the punk rock aesthetic was amazing. Like just the way that Flint looked, he had the reverse mohawk. Like who's ever heard of such a thing? He had hair like on the sides of his head, like he was a fucking, I don't know what he was, like some sort of a bird. And then shaved his head down the middle. It was fucking wild, dude. Yeah, this was when they say this was their critical success piece. I mean, this video was played every day. Like I come home from school and this shit was always on nonstop. It was on the radio. And it's pretty cool that like think about like music today versus this. I mean, this is pretty punk rock. I don't have that much of this. Or maybe we do. We have a lot of shit. It's just not, we just don't have one gatekeeper like MTV to like dictate it to all of us. Like that is a thing I think about growing up in the 90s is like when you listen to music, yeah, you could crate dig and find other music and like take a chance and buy a CD based on the album cover or something like, but you had like MTV had such a stronghold on like, you know, all at once in one fell swoop, they could reach all of America's youth and be like, here's the Prodigy. Check out this fucking crazy ass video, and everybody's like, "Oh shit!" You know what I mean? Like, this is it's different now than like where it's like, oh, like we did some viral videos and got a Spotify thing and whatever, and you may never, you know, it's like these siloed like ways of listening to things. Like these artists are huge, but they don't have like the mass. Like when you were an MTV artist, like the entire country knew about you. The entire fucking country of America knew about you. Now it's like you can reach that many people, you can reach a lot of people, but you can be in your own siloed place where you'll never reach really like the quote unquote masses. You'll just reach a lot of different pockets of people who aren't even connected. This was like, I mean, this is the equivalent of what I think state TV would be. Meaning like when they have those countries where like they're on TV as like it's like the state run TV or the BBC or whatever. It's like MTV was like that back in the day. Here, have some Counting Crows. Here, have some very old Aerosmith. Here, have some Dr. Dre and Snoop. They did it all, man. What a fucking time. Anyway, so I remember Firestarter and Breathe being like absolutely mentally huge. And I don't know. I think the takeaway I had from doing my research is like they really have a lot of like musicality in their shit. They're an electronic band, but they're a band. They're a band. You know what I mean? It's not just, you know, in the box producing. It's like they're a band, and it's very different from. I'm trying to think of like what other artists like are like that right now in electronic music like that aren't like legacy. You know what I mean? It's fucking sick. I mean, like someone like Fatboy Slim who did a lot of big beat stuff. He's just DJing, and he's been DJing. So, by the way, shout out to Fatboy Slim. I remember. I mean, that was another piece of this for me. Like thinking about like connecting like my memories of the Prodigy. Actually, like my big beat thing was all about Fatboy Slim. My freshman year of college, I remember my friends and I, two of my friends and I bought a bong together downtown in New York. We grew up in New York City, and each semester we all went to different colleges. So each semester the bong would rotate to another person. And I remember when we got it, the first day we got it, we went into my room and like smoked a bowl like out the window or whatever. So I smoked the bong for the first time, and we were listening to Fatboy Slim. And I remember being like, "What the fuck is this?" And when they say big beat, it really is like taking the break beat, like almost like hip hop break beats, not almost, actually hip hop break beats, and making them sound big. Like the kicks and the snares were just like way bigger and really slappy and smacky. And so that was kind of more like what I was listening to. Chemical Brothers a little bit as well. But that big beat, like break beat sound was really popular, especially in like the early 90s. And it was everywhere. So Prodigy did it in an amazing way. They brought it to the masses. They took it from the underground to the overground, as we like to say. So I'm going to be continue to listen to this shit as we go along. And the playlist just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I mean, let me tell you, like, shifting to the playlist itself, there's so many comments here. I mean, basically what I try to do is get like a couple hours every weekend to add. So I try to add 100 at a time. So right now we're at 802 songs. And I've like gotten a program where I can read comments, like, because on the desktop you can't read what your newest comments are. You don't have the same functionality as you do on your phone. So I have a special app that makes it so I can see the comments in a certain order. And then if I've hearted your comment, that means that it's been added to the playlist or it's already added to the playlist. So when I'm kind of going through the comments, I'm like hearting as I go when I see, oh, well, like Levels has been something that's like been requested a ton. So yeah, and right now, by the way, it's worth mentioning we're at 1,920 followers of the playlist itself. And that's all from that one Instagram post. So that's so dope. I really love this. I wanted to do an experiment. I start the video and I'm like, I want to do an experiment. And we're doing an experiment. And it's fucking cool. And we're doing this playlist. And then so the other thing is like this. And then this playlist we've got 200 listens on the last episode. And on YouTube we have one video that got about a little over 1,000 plays, and then the other one is like 700. Look, these are small numbers, but they're kind of big numbers in my opinion. Like in terms of starting from zero. Just kind of creating this kind of thing. So I'm psyched. So if you're riding with me since the beginning, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let your friends know. And I think I'm also going to use this podcast to kind of like talk about other artists, but also talk about new stuff that we're into. I mean, we're doing so much at Space Yacht in terms of booking shows, putting on artists, putting out records on our label. It's exciting times. If you're somebody who is either in the scene or like kind of out of the scene, like, I got some stuff to share with you. For sure. By the way, it's worth mentioning, Space Yacht Summer Sampler is out now on Spotify. Just search it up. Space Yacht Summer Sampler Volume 2. It's a multi-genre compilation. We're really psyched about it. It consists of half of them are singles that have come out this year on the label that we love, and then the other half, there's 6 new tracks on there as well from artists that we found on our Twitch show. We do a Twitch show twice a week. On the Space Yacht Twitch, and it's called Tune Reactor, where we listen to music and get submissions for people. So if you're new to my universe, you should check that out, usually Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Space Yacht Twitch. Go follow all the shit. Go follow all the Space Yacht stuff. Go follow all my stuff. Let's get to know each other. Have a conversation. I'm the fire starter. I mean, you hear kids in between class be like just yelling that shit. I'm the fire starter. I don't know why this, like, they also connect, like, they're not even on the Clerks soundtrack, but like they remind me of the movie Clerks. I don't know if anybody's hip to that. If you haven't seen Clerks, you should see it. Kevin Smith's finest work. I don't think it's his first movie, or maybe it's his first movie. I could probably ask AI. Anyway. All right, that's all I got for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and please share this podcast. Leave a comment if you will. Let your friends know about it, and make sure to go follow the playlist itself. You can check the link in my bio or wherever you're listening to this, watching this. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. So go if you want to search on Spotify. That's where the playlist lives. It's on Spotify. Search London Bridge Selects the playlist, or just go to the Space Yacht account on Spotify and you'll see the playlist there. Please go give it a follow. Send it to your friends. It's 802 songs of some of the most amazing music that's ever been made in electronic music. I'm determined to make this the biggest and best playlist on Spotify. I don't know what the record is, but I know from a musical curation standpoint, you guys crushed it in the comments, and there's just song after song after song, and so many artists here. I could do podcast episodes forever. I'm pretty sure I'll definitely get into the hundreds on this thing. Fuck it. We'll do them all. We'll do it live. All right, everybody. I'll see you next time, and I'll catch you later on the Flippy Flop. Later.